I want to talk about something that I've touched upon before in regards to Kreese and Silver this season. And the thing that really stuck with me is not just that, oh yeah, they're getting the gang back together again. Oh, Cobra Kai, say it, Cobra Kai, and then all that kind of jazz. But it's more how I think Kreese this season has finally realised the extent of what he's been doing to every character in this show. And Silver is the one character, right? The one character that said, no, enough is enough. And I did a bit of a research, quote unquote, rewatch into earlier seasons. And when Kreese screws Johnny over, when Kreese does his stuff to Daniel, when Kreese does all this kind of stuff to like Miguel, Hawk and whatnot, you know, he does it to all these characters that have that moral compass. And it's not that Terry Silver doesn't, but when you push Terry into that space, the moral compass goes out the window. And there is no end to what Terry will do. That's what I'm saying about the level of villain that's now entered the show. Nothing is off the table anymore. Terry is the ultimate, in my opinion, is the ultimate big bad now. Because Kreese in this season has finally realised everything that he's been doing way back to Karate Kid. It comes full circle in the All Valley when Tori is about to, you know, go and fight dirty against Sam. I mean, she wasn't, but Silver was trying to egg her on to do that. And Kreese is like, no, hang on, no, we can't do that. And he's having flashbacks to the moment he had with Johnny. And he's finally realising all the stuff that he's done. Now, what's great about Kreese's arc going forward is he's going to be in isolation. I think he's going to be given the Robbie arc of Season 3, but reverse. It's going to be a slow burn to where he joins he doesn't join, but he teams up with the good guys in the end as a business transaction. It's not like they're going to be buddy-buddy and high-fiving each other and smacking each other with towels. It's going to be a business transaction akin to, shout out to King, akin to Magneto and the X-Men. It's a business transaction because of a greater threat. Now, before that is to happen, I can see a civil war happening, and I've got a juicy video about that coming out. So if you see anyone else talking about it, I'm the original person of that particular topic, okay? Just throwing it out there. So, back to the point. With the way this season's played out, Silver starts out relatively normal, and then as he gets back into the karate, he's kind of a more nuanced version of himself, you know? He's still himself, he's still got the quips and the facial expressions and the little gags. But what's great about it, and credit to Thomas Ian Griffith, is it's almost exactly the same Silver from Karate Kid 3. Like, it's a seamless transition, but it's done so well to the point where it's a different kind of take, and it's an earned take. It's like they took the Last Jedi kind of Luke Skywalker route and applied it to Terry Silver, and I really like that, because, you know, as great as it is that, you know, Kreese wants to get back in on the action, Terry didn't really want to get back in on it. He was like, look, I've found clarity, why do I need to, you know, dig up, why do I need to go back to the past? And even though Kreese may be thinking, oh, you can join me in the dojo, it doesn't have to be about the past. That is specifically Terry's past, is the legacy of Cobra Kai, the foundation of Cobra Kai, where it started from, or where it began with these two. And I remember when the trailer released, and there's that shot of Silver walking into the dojo, storming in, angry, you know, pissed. Like, he looks, you can feel the anger exuding from the screen with that one shot where the dojo leaves and he's like, turn around, you son of a bitch. Like, you can just sort of feel it. That it's like, you had to go and dig up these old wounds. And it kind of set Terry on this path. And I think at the end of the season, Kreese finally realizes, oh, I've messed up huge. Because you've done it, John, to the one person you shouldn't do it to. And the reason why I put Terry above people like Johnny or Daniel or Hawk or Miguel or Robbie is they have that moral compass, even if they go to the dark side for all intents and purposes. Even when Hawk was on the dark side, he still had that moral compass telling him, what the hell are you doing? When Robbie did, he still had the moral compass saying, what are you doing? Daniel has always got that Miyagi-Do wisdom within him, so no matter how far dark he goes, he will always come back. And Johnny's just more badass than evil, you know, that's just the way that is. And Miguel is probably the most balanced character in the show. But someone like Terry, if you put him back in the headspace that he was in Karate Kid 3, with everything that's gone on in mind, like, if you look at it from Terry's perspective, he feels used. He feels like he was just brought in just for Kreese to get back at Johnny. That's all it was. He feels like, oh, this wasn't about bringing the glory days back. No. This wasn't about me and you teaming up. This wasn't about our friendship or our brotherhood. No, it was about you getting back at Johnny. And that's where I think the most heartbreaking thing is for Terry in this whole situation. It's not that Kreese dug up the past. It's not that Kreese, thought it would be a good idea to dig up his PTSD. It's more of just the fact that he feels betrayed. That, he doesn't feel like he matters to John Kreese. Like, after everything, he feels like he was just brought back as a pawn in the game to use against Johnny. And that's what it's been about. Ever since Kreese entered the show, it's been about Kreese and Johnny. And that, it's like, from Kreese's perspective, it's about Kreese and Johnny. And in Kreese's eyes, Daniel, Hawk, Miguel, Robbie, and Tori, they're just chess pieces. And finally this season, he's seeing the extent of everything that he's done by treating everyone like chess pieces, and he's done it to the wrong person. And ultimately, next season, there is going to be a shed load of regret for John Kreese. I'm sensing a lot of scenes in jail of him alone, in isolation, with his thoughts, and it's going to be a moment where we kind of feel sad for him, because this is the effects of war. He still hasn't left that battlefield, and everyone else around him has left the war. And he still hasn't. And he's brought Terry back into the war. And not just that, he's made a new enemy. His own brother. You go to war with this guy. You come out brothers in arms. And this is why I say Terry is the big bad. Because it's like with The Walking Dead. I'll use an example from that. And spoilers just for Season 2. When Rick kills Shane in Season 2 of The Walking Dead, right? Shane is Rick's best friend. If Rick can take out Shane, literally his brother, if he can take him out, there's no telling to what Rick can't do. If he can take out his wingman, his better half, basically his blood brother, or, brother by, care him on it. If he can do that, there's no telling what he can't do, or he can do. And as you see in the later seasons, that really comes full circle. So this season, when Silver turns in Kreese, if he can do that to his own brother, what is he going to do to Johnny? And we know this season, or this show, likes to plant seeds that it pays off. So remember when Tori says in Season 3, you better watch your back, as an example. What happened this season? Hawk got his mohawk shaved. So Silver's threat saying, don't worry about Lawrence, I'll take care of him too. I think that's a double meaning. I think that means Johnny and Robbie. I think they're both of them. And I think this is why Robbie had to come home, because if Robbie didn't, I think Silver would enjoy toying with him. And it's almost heartbreaking, because after they have their little bet in class, where they put their students against each other, as much as Silver wanted to win and his ego was coming in, it was just literally like a sports game. It would be like an NFL game or a football game or a soccer game. It would just be like you're competing with your mate at that. And Kreese took it as, no, this is an act of war and it demands an immediate response kind of thing. And he's done it against his own best friend. He read it, in my opinion, he read it completely wrong. Silver was not trying to usurp the dojo. He was just having a bit of fun. He was being competitive, It's a thing where you always want to be better than the rank above you, It's about progression. You want to get to that stage. And I did say before Silver even entered this show, if he was to come back, if you all go back and rewatch Karate Kid 3, is Kreese in the driving seat? No. Terry's in the driving seat. Terry is controlling that. Kreese is riding shotgun. So I was always fascinated to see how this show would handle that, where you bring Silver in, but we've seen Kreese the last few seasons be front and center, leading the line, being the general of this army. And then you bring Silver in. I always said that it could be a spot of contention for them, because who's the higher rank? It was always bound to happen. But the thing is, it could have happened in a way without Kreese getting thrown in the slammer. But Kreese inevitably caused that on himself. And Silver has this like Joker-esque scene in before the Eel Valley. This kind of like the piano music that's playing as he's beating up Stingray. It's like something out of a horror movie. And when in the car, after Kreese is turned in, after he elbows that cop in the face, he'll probably get done for that too. But when he's sat in the car, he has this look on his face, and he looks down like everything's just come full circle. He's now feeling the weight of everything that he's done, and it's too late. This is what I mean. I always said that Kreese had this redemption quality about him. And it's not because I push redemption on characters. It's because it's written in the characters in the show. You can go all the way back to Season 2 when he was brought in. Look at the conversation he has with Johnny in the homeless shelter. Where, it plays that flashback of Kreese wandering and lost. And Johnny is like, if you want another chance, here you go. And look at Kreese's face when he grabs Johnny's hand and thanks him. That wasn't fake. That was real. He meant that. But the problem with KREESE is he hasn't left the battlefield. And he thinks his way is the only way. So when he saw Johnny being weak, he was like, okay, I've got to do something. Because this is going bad for you. I got to take over Johnny. Sorry. And then with the war against Miyagi-Do, he took it personally. He's like, that this is a personal thing for him that goes way back to the first Karate Kid movie. It's almost heartbreaking how when he finally realizes it's too late. The whole thing's too late. And when he's in the car at the end and he's looking down and he's internalizing his thoughts, fantastic acting by Martin Kove. As I've always said, sometimes the best messages and themes or conversations, they're not what's said, it's what isn't said. Sometimes it's just in a simple camera shot of the camera panning down over a police car as KREESE is internalizing his feelings and looking down. That there speaks, it's so powerful. And not a word was said, but so much was said. And that's the moment right there where everything comes full circle and he finally feels the weight of his failure. And just before that, although he didn't really care about Miguel too much, he goes up to Johnny to ask how's the boy. Like, when has KREESE ever done that? So KREESE has now begun his path of redemption, but it's at the point now where it's that classic Hollywood redemption where it's too late. Like, he's realized too late. But there is a lot of progression that they can take him. And one thing that I'm going to add to this, and this is all the details that I pick up on, is we owe Mr. Miyagi for this. I think Mr. Miyagi not harming KREESE is going to come full circle as well when there's a moment where KREESE has to make the call that no one else can make. And I'm not talking about calling Terry up. That was a bad joke, I'm sorry. But, a call that maybe saves someone's life. It's I know Cobra Kai isn't that kind of show, but with Silver being introduced and the kids getting older, it can get into a territory where the characters are in real danger, in serious danger. And look at how far we've come. From simple bullying to a mohawk being shaved to assault. It's gone that far. And I think there'll be a moment, maybe next season, where he remembers what Miyagi did for him or what Miyagi didn't do to him, and he'll feel like he's indebted to them because Miyagi could have easily taken him out. And I think that's where Chosen comes in. When KREESE sees the way Chosen fights and the way Chosen handles Miyagi-Do, the more offensive side of it, he'll look at that and he'll go, man, Miyagi could have ended my life, but he didn't. And he'll get that new perspective on Miyagi-Do, and he'll feel like he owes Mr. Miyagi one. And another reason why KREESE is going to join them is because if you understand character archetypes, KREESE is the wise old owl of this show. Now, I say wise, but in every show or movie, there's always like the grandpa of the group. There's always like seriously, any show or movie you watch, there is the grandpa of the group. There is the one that holds them all together. There's that elderly figure, Dumbledore, Yoda. There's always someone, and obviously that would go to Mr. Miyagi. But because he's not around, and rest in peace to him. The show has done such a great job at paying tribute to the legacy of Pat Morita in such a fantastic way. It's one of the most amazing things about it. But KREESE is sort of filling that role, and Silver even says to him, now we're the old men. He even says it to him. So that's why this video's kind of gone on long, because there's so much connective tissue between KREESE and Silver's arcs across the season, where it comes full circle, where Silver's like, you know what, everyone does have a weakness, even me. And you're mine. And KREESE is like, I am your strength, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, yes! There it is! How many times do you expect me to repay that debt before we're square? And that's a good point. That's a good point. It's not like, and it gives him that perspective that he's been rubbing it in Silver's face for how many years. And I just get the impression that this is a lesson about, just because someone's kind to you, don't take advantage of them. Because you never know what someone's breaking point is. You never know what button you might push that gets you framed with the police. It's a bit of an extreme example, but you know what I mean. And it's almost heartbreaking to see it play out like this, when I actually would have really liked to see more of like Silver and KREESE have like a sort of, buddy kind of like bromance kind of thing again. But, the way the season's played out, everything I expected from next season has happened this season. So I don't know what on earth they're going to do next season. But All I know is that Kreese and Silver, this is a bond which I don't see getting reconciliation for. I think this could potentially, unless there's another big bad brought into the show, then Silver is the big bad. Like, unless there's someone else, but how much more bigger can you get than Terry Silver? You know, a villain that we actually care about and we're actually invested in to be the final villain. Because you could bring someone else in that's the final villain just to have Silver teaming up with the good guys, but then we don't care about the villain. So, you know, that won't happen. And I think you're just in the early beginnings of Terry's takeover. You know, Terry is, as much as Terry is the apprentice and Kreese is the master, in this case, it's flipped because Terry's Palpatine and Kreese is Darth Vader. And the reason I say that is if you go back to Season 3, the flashbacks with Betsy. They didn't put those there for no reason. Anyway, guys and girls, jump in the comment section down below. Let me know if you want to see any more videos like these where I just really try and get into the psyche of a character, why they do what they do, how it led to this point, what it sets up for the future, what it pays off from before, and just the connective tissue between the relationships of the characters. And sometimes like the real messages from this that we can apply to our own lives as well. So just jump in the comment section down below, let me know. And yeah, you know, nearly at 7k, and I'm tempted to do a Q&A for it, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I'll see you in the comment section down below. Peace out.